feet of the chain run. And how do you do that? First 6 seconds, point A to point B, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go.
Welcome to the Morning Scoop for Friday, July 22nd. I am Kirk Barton, your host from BuckeyeScoop.com. I am so excited to have the legendary Bill the Bank Greene on with me today. We're going to talk about a lot of major ongoing issues with recruiting, some of the O-line stuff, the Caleb Downs saga. There's a lot of stuff going on. Bank was up at Mansfield for a big 7-on-7 tournament, so he's got some updates on some huge Ohio State targets and commitments, and he's got all kinds of good stuff to talk about today. So appreciate you guys as always. But thank you guys. Our site has been growing like crazy. Our YouTube has been growing. Leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, maybe comment on which commitment heading down to signing day do we need the most. Put them in the comments. All of that stuff is huge for us, grows the channel. We appreciate you guys as always. With that being said, we got my friend Bill the Bank Greene. Bank, how are you tonight?
Good, man. All good.
Yeah, Bank's been grinding on the legendary Bill the Bank Greene chat all day on Thursdays on BuckeyeScoop.com. He's been working for probably about 12 straight hours now. I think he takes a little break for lunch, but other than that, he's just been grinding away at the questions. Bank, we're going to start off with one of the biggest targets in America, a guy that you've heard a lot of conflicting stuff with, Caleb Downs. Bank, where is Ohio State at with Caleb Downs? What have you heard? What is the latest?
Yeah, total conflicting information here. You always like to be able to take a position and kind of tell people what you think and ride with it. This one, I have to be honest with you, I've got people that I trust. I know there's a couple of Ohio State commits that feel that Caleb Downs is coming to Ohio State, and they feel pretty strongly. And I also know Ohio State is still fighting. They're in there swinging with that guy. So if Caleb Downs has made it known to certain people that he's going to Bama, he hasn't made it known to Ohio State. So they're still in there swinging. My guys down there in Florida think they know everything. Ricky and Gino and those guys, they swear it's Bama. They swear it's been Bama for the last 6 weeks. So, again, I don't know. We're going to see. I'm going to keep digging on this and keep trying to solve the puzzle. That's what recruiting is. You're trying to solve that puzzle. And right now, I do not have it solved. I'll tell you, if you put a gun to my head right now, I kind of think it's Bama, but I don't know. That we're gonna have to dig a little more on this one to find out. I mean, Ohio State wants him badly. I love the DB class they have right now. They got 6 of them committed right now, and I love that DB class. But yeah, Caleb Downs is he's pretty special. He's kind of a Von Bell type, and you can't ever have enough of those kind of guys.
Yeah, especially in a defense where we're now running 3 safeties and Jim Knowles is 4-2-5. You can't have enough guys that are superstar type guys that can be erasers in the back end. In terms of Caleb Downs, he mentioned that he has a family relationship with Tim Walton. He's very high on Perry Eliano. What have you heard specifically about Tim Walton and Perry Eliano on the recruiting trail, with the Ohio State logo on their chest as opposed to their former roles in the NFL and at Cincinnati? How have they fared thus far in the recruiting trail as Ohio State Buckeye assistant coaches?
I think they've done really well. I mean, you look at the 6 commitments they have right now. They got Ohio guys in there that should be layups, but to pull K and Lee, like no one thought they were getting that guy. So there have been a few like battles here that you really go win. When you get the Matthews kid out of Ohio, like, okay, you know what I mean? I think you or I could have got him. But, to get K and Lee, I think was really a surprise. I love the Simpson Hunt kid they got. In state, I mean, I think this was a great year in state to go get DBs, and they've done that. So I am an A so far. Boy, you pull Caleb Downs, now we're talking A++. I mean, they needed DBs in this class. They needed quantity and they needed quality. And I think if they sit where they're at right now, I think they're fine. But, man, you get a chance to pull Caleb Downs, you're going to pull that one, and you'll take him and break open the champagne.
Absolutely. I think Caleb Downs will be the crown jewel of this class. Have you heard? I know you've talked to many recruits. You've viewed a lot of recruits at camp this year. How has Jim Knowles' scheme, where the safeties are really the focal point of the scheme, how has that been expressed to some of these young kids that might be corner safety type hybrids or true safeties? How has that been expressed to them as to how it could accentuate their talents and why that coming to Ohio State would be the best move for their future towards their NFL potential?
Well, I think with Walton, Walton's got that NFL pedigree, that people love. If you're trying to recruit me and my son to come play for your school and he's a DB, then I want to see something. You got to show me
Hmm.
something. And, not last year's film of Ohio State. I don't want to see that. I want to know what you're going to do. Tim Walton's pedigree speaks for itself. And Iliano last year, the great success he had with those two corners at Cincinnati, both get
Hmm.
drafted. So I think the proof is there. That these guys know what they're doing. I like Jim Knowles. I mean, I think expectations for Ohio State fans, they may be a little too high. I mean, I don't think Jim Knowles has invented defense. I think he's darn good. And after having incompetent, the past 2 years, now darn good is going to be really, really good. But I think Jim Knowles is one of the top 20 D coordinators in college football. I don't think he's like number one. So I think Ohio State fans, I wouldn't expect shutouts every week and holding people to 130 total yards every week. But to go from incompetent, which they were, to top 20, top 15 guy overall, man, it's amazing to have him. And this scheme, like I say, you don't really see classes with 6 DBs in them, but I think these kids can see that there's going to be 5 DBs on the field at all times, and there may be times when there's 6. So the opportunity's there, and I think kids have grabbed that opportunity, and I think they've rallied to really. I think more than Knowles' scheme. I think it's more Iliano, and Timmy Walton, what they're selling, what they can do to these kids.
Yeah, I agree there. In terms of linebacker recruiting, that's the sore subject at this point after losing. I mean, nobody really expected Troy Bowles to be in this class. I mean, he was a pretty heavy Georgia lean, but losing Tackett Curtis was it raised an eyebrow amongst the community, amongst myself personally. His uncle Jess Curtis is his head coach. I know that he really liked Jim Knowles. Jim did a great job of selling him. For him to flip to SC at the last second, I think was pretty stunning. It's like one of those things where you see the dominoes falling a couple days early when you see crystal balls switch and you see predictions switch, and all of a sudden he commits and it's SC. It's not Ohio State. It's not Wisconsin, who were presumed to be leaders. Kind of talk us through, that recruitment, what happened with Tackett. Again, I think a lot of people had him in ink. I mean, mentally, I thought he was a done deal. I'd done a big breakdown on him. I was really excited for him to come here, flips to SC. Kind of walk us through the Tackett Curtis commitment and maybe where things might have gone off the rails.
Yeah, I mean, everything that we'd had for the longest time was that he was coming to Ohio State, and I think
Hmm.
Ohio State felt pretty solidly that they thought they were getting him. Wisconsin was in there fighting. SC wasn't really mentioned.
Hmm.
So I wish I had something that could explain, how everybody was so wrong on this. I don't know. And it doesn't really make sense where SC came in out of nowhere, other than maybe everybody was reading this kid wrong. You know,
Hmm.
I don't think there was anything underhanded or weird, just from the type of family he comes from, and with NIL right now, it's probably going to be about the same at Ohio
Hmm.
State as it would be at USC. I mean, the Ohio State kids, when he came on his visit, he can see what NIL is doing for the current Ohio State players.
Hmm.
It was just something that nobody saw coming, and maybe this is Jim Knowles. He's not at Cornell anymore. You're not at Oak
Hmm.
State anymore. You're not at Duke anymore. Man, you're at the big poker table right now. And, you're in there against SC. And I don't know, maybe they took for granted that they had him. There was a rumor or story passed along the internet that Tackett had like a horrible visit to Ohio State. I don't believe that for an instant. I don't think that's true. So I think that was just kind of BS. I don't believe
Mhm.
it. So, but that was out there. That visit wasn't very good, and he was wavering. So, um, I don't know. I think they just got beat. And sometimes in recruiting, you land kids from other schools when they thought they were getting them. And on this one, I think Ohio State just got whipped. And come back and do better next time.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, I mean, Bank, you've talked to hundreds, if not thousands, of kids over your last, 20 years of covering recruiting. How many times have kids say that they've had a terrible visit to Ohio State, especially, in the Mark Pantoni, Urban Meyer era, where everything kind of got amplified and they basically injected nitrous oxide into the visits and made them just absolutely phenomenal. Have you
Yeah.
heard many kids saying that they had a bad time at Ohio State?
None, none.
Yeah.
They do. And I've written this for the past, I don't know, 5 years. Ohio State can do official visits as well as anyone. Bama's up there,
Hmm.
obviously, but Ohio State takes a backseat to no. And that doesn't mean they get every kid.
Hmm.
Bama doesn't either. But
Yeah.
the whole process from the time that kid steps on campus until the time that kid gets on the plane to leave, I think they do it as us. I'll go to my grave saying they do it as well as anyone. But
Hmm.
nobody bats 1,000 in recruiting. But the proof for Ohio State is in what we've seen the last 5 6 years. Like you said, once Urban showed up in the recruiting rankings, they took a huge leap. They've stayed there with Ryan Day. This is still going to be a really good class. This one just kind of stung, because
Hmm.
nobody saw it coming. And that's where I think you go back as a staff and you replay it. Like, where did we go wrong? And sometimes there is no answer. Sometimes you get whipped, you get
Yeah.
beat, you dust your pants. You were in those rooms before.
Yep.
You dust your pants off and you go back to work.
Yeah, I mean, we had kids that it didn't make sense that they didn't want to come there and they went elsewhere, and some were massively successful, some weren't. You just kind of wish them well and good luck, and we'll see you in the playoffs. But the thing I know about Mark Pantoni and I know about that staff is that they study the highest end official visits meticulously. So they'll study because these kids are open books. They put everything on TikTok, they put everything on Instagram, they put everything on Twitter. So if someone's doing something special and these kids video it, Ohio State, they're the first people to copy it and enhance it. Whether it's putting Big Dave's favorite potato chips on the bed, or if it's putting letters or putting whatever, or making the photo shoots more majestic and having more uniform combinations and more types of gloves and more sweatbands, or doing it in the stadium next to a Bentley, or it's just like it's kind of a death spiral type race. But I know that those guys study it because they don't want to get outdone on anything that's as silly as that, because it doesn't really cost as many money to borrow a Bentley from some car dealership locally and say, hey, can we use this for an hour to do a photo shoot with Caleb Downs or whoever? And and there's plenty of people that are willing to do that to help the program out. So I just know that we're never really behind, because if anybody ever jumps in front of us by doing something special, we're going to copy it and have it ready to go for the next visit. Because that was kind of the Urban Meyer mentality. I think that Ryan has copied that, and I think that Mark Pantoni is obsessed with that, because these guys really take pride in having the best visits. And again, with these kids being on social media, it's all an open book, so it's easy to copy. What did Oklahoma do at their photo shoot? Oh, they got to fly an Apache helicopter and shoot missiles while they wore the helmet and jersey, and whatever. It's just like that's just kind of how it is now. So we're gonna move on to you're in Mansfield. There was a big 7-on-7 tournament. You guys had Ginn Academy. You had Finley. So there's at least three commits, or three prospective Buckeyes between those two schools. A couple other schools. Talk a little bit about, you're down at Arlenfield in Mansfield. Talk about some of the kids you saw. You saw Luke and some of the others. How'd they look? How are they doing? And how did they fare in the 7-on-7 tournament?
Yeah, with Luke Montgomery, they did have a lineman challenge there. They did a lot of, I don't know, drills. They did not do
Hmm.
one-on-ones. So
Hmm.
I was hoping to see that. They didn't do one-on-ones. It's probably smart without pads to not do one-on-ones this close.
Yeah.
Two-a-days start next week. So I got it. What I liked was seeing Luke run through the drills. he is officially, he is 6'5", maybe 6'5.5". I mean, he's grown a little bit height wise, and he is 295, 290 or 295 right now, and he still
Mhm.
looks thin.
Yeah.
So he's going to play at an athletic 320. I'm convinced he's a tackle. I'm not Justin Fry. You know, he knows more football
Mhm.
than I know, but I'm convinced that you at least take Luke Montgomery and you start him at tackle, and you
Yeah.
make him prove to you that he just cannot play this position. And at that point, I think if he proves that he can't handle tackle, I don't think you put him at guard. I think he becomes your center and makes all the calls. He's a big, tall, athletic dude, and we're seeing a lot of those taller centers now. So, but I'm convinced he's a tackle, and I think he's going to succeed as a tackle. So I love the kid. I love the work ethic. Um, there's just so much to like with Luke Montgomery. I just wish, I wish maybe he had been an offensive tackle from seventh grade on,
Mhm.
but he'll catch up. And the thing I also liked about Luke, as he was showing on his phone, is that Justin Fry will send him different drills that he wants him to work on. And Luke not only does the drills, but he films them and sends them back to Fry to look at them. And it's, hey, on this one, I liked it, but get the back foot straight, whatever, O-line stuff better than I do.
Yeah.
So that was pretty impressive to me, like, because I would think a lot of kids, when your future coach tells you, sends you the drills, you're like, oh yeah, I'm doing them, I'm doing them night and day, coach. But when he films them and sends them back to Coach Fry to be critiqued, well, number one, he's showing that he's doing the work. And number two, he's showing that he's coachable. So he's willing to be told that he's doing it wrong and we got to switch this, fix this. So when I see a kid like that, I mean, and you have to have the talent. I mean,
Mhm.
you can take a plow horse and beat him all day long and he ain't winning the Kentucky Derby.
Yep.
So you have to have the requisite talent, which Luke Montgomery does. And then when you come in with this attitude, you've been around it. Those kids
Mhm.
rarely fail if they
Yeah.
don't get hurt. If he stays
Mhm.
healthy with his talent and his attitude, he should be a really good player.
Mhm. Yeah, if I was Justin Fry, I'd stick him in day one at right tackle and have him. If you put next year, assuming Paris goes pro, Dewan's gone. I put DJ Donovan Jackson out at left tackle. We got a bunch of guys that can play guard, and then at right tackle, it's an open audition between George Fitzpatrick, it's Zen Mikulski. I'd let the
Yeah.
Luke come in as a freshman. And I think out of the three of those guys, and anybody else that wants to try it out, you're going to find a guy that can hang in there and play right tackle good enough for us to win. I think Donovan Jackson, could be an outstanding left tackle. I think Justin Fry realizes that if something happens to Paris, that Donovan's going to go out to left tackle. Like, they're not going to flip the wand over to left this year. He had him playing a lot of left tackle in spring ball just as like a kind of an emergency guy because, it's a lot easier to put Josh Fryer in at left guard than it is to put Josh Fryer out at left tackle, so it's easier to put DJ out there because DJ is maybe the strongest guy on the team and he's an insanely twitchy athlete. So he's a tackle that's playing guard this year. He's a little bit shorter. PJ's a legit 6'7". Donovan is 6'4", 6'4.5". So, I'm 6'4" and 3/8", and I was able to hang there in there at tackle. And when I was on the team in 03, which was the returning national championship team, I was literally the tallest guy on the team at 6'4" and 3/8", which is crazy now that we have a bunch of 6'7" guys and 6'6" guys. And we have a bunch of trees out there. And I think Luke is a kid that could play early just because, we're going to need a right tackle. And I mean, you put that, you got Zen out there as a third-year guy, and you'd have Fitzpatrick out there as a second-year guy. And, if Luke's good enough, he can go out there and play tackle. And I think something I love about Justin Fry is he tells all these guys, you're offensive linemen, be ready to play wherever I put you. Don't, because a lot of these kids, it's something that happened at camp this year. Is a lot of these kids are out there and they're like, well, coach, I've only played left tackle my whole life. So, when Justin Fry is running the camps at Ohio State and there's a spot open at left guard and all the guys look at each other because like, coach, I've only played left tackle. I don't know how to play left guard. And that's the wrong answer. You got to go in there and play whatever spot's open. Like TJ Downing, when I beat him out at tackle, TJ's one of my best friends. He went into guard and he played phenomenally. He never played guard in his life. Played tackle at Glen Oak, played tackle at Ohio State. he didn't win one of the tackle jobs. He went into guard and did a fantastic job and was a guard for the rest of his career. So it's like, I think Justin's smart by saying, hey, be ready to play center guard or tackle, because then you don't pigeonhole these kids into thinking, well, I don't get to be the left tackle. And then they're all, pouty faced and sad, because you got to go in and fill in wherever you are at. Because Donovan Jackson was a fantastic tackle in high school. And guess what? He's starting at left guard for the Bucs this year, and he's really good at guard. So, he wasn't sad that he didn't get to play left tackle. And, like Paris last year, Paris is a left tackle through and through, 6'7". And guess what? DeWand is 6'8", 380 pounds, so he can't play guard. And Nick Petit is our best tackle. And then Thayer's got to go into guard and Paris. But it's like, those are our best five. Like, you can't have Paris Johnson. You talked about Secretariat versus Suppliers. Paris Johnson is the definition of Secretariat. He is the most talented guy that we've had in a long time. So he can't stand there and hold the clipboard. You got to put him in over some of the guys that might be better suited for guard, but sometimes you got to put Larry Allen, who's 6'7" or whatever, in at guard, because that's just the best five guys. But I love Justin Fry. I think he's fantastic. And I think the message he's telling these kids, hey, be ready to be an offensive lineman and play whatever. I think that's the correct message for these recruits. So we got a couple of Glenville guys too. We'll get to them now. So you saw a young corner, young linebacker, Bank. What'd you think of them out at Mansfield?
Yeah, the 2023 guys, Arvell Reese, and I've gone back and forth on him in terms of his future position. I've gone back and forth so many times. I saw him in camp, 4 weeks ago, and I kind of came away thinking he was a linebacker, because I never knew his true weight. That was the thing I really wanted to know, because he's listed, I think, at 210 or 212, and I thought maybe that was an exaggeration. I thought the guy was like 200 to 205. And then, I talked to Teddy Ginn the other day, and Teddy's like, what are you talking about? He's 228. And I'm like, oh, if he's 228 right now, heading into his senior year, and he hasn't really lifted properly yet. I don't know what the diet is. I know it's not as good as what he's going to get at Ohio State. That guy's going to be 260, 265 at some point. So, we talked about the linebacker position. You lose Bowles, you lose Tackett Curtis. Well, we got Arvell Reese. Man, I don't think so. I think Arvell Reese, with his athleticism as a linebacker, he's kind of, I don't know, he's kind of thicker legged and kind of struggles in coverage a little bit. As a down lineman, he might be Frank Clark. And that's the comparison I see. Once I learned he's 228, it's like, oh my gosh. I saw Frank Clark before his senior year. He was playing quarterback, tight end, linebacker. He was probably 210. And Frank Clark, he ain't 210 no more. And he's not playing quarterback or linebacker anymore either. He's an all-pro D lineman. So I think Arvell Reese is a D lineman that is going to get, 265-pound guy, so athletic that he's going to be so hard to block no matter where you put him. I just don't think he's going to be a linebacker anymore. He does not look like 228, believe me. So that's my feeling now. My final thought on Arvell Reese. The other one is Bryce West. He's the 2024 corner, is going to be a junior. He's already started for 2 years at corner at Glenville. So he's got a ton of experience, a ton of reps, and he's got 2 more years of high school to go. So Bryce has all the skills he needs to be an elite corner. Okay, he's 5'11". He's got long arms. He's quick. Now, he's still learning the position. He got beat the other day a few times, and you don't like to see it, but yet I think his mistakes are coachable. So I'm not down on Bryce West at all. And then when you talk to the kid, he's a 3.5 student, and he's so personable and so intelligent. He runs that secondary, and he's just a baby still. So there's so much to like with Bryce West. Both them kids are going to be Buckeyes. Both of them, I think, are going to be really good players. Bryce, I think Bryce is going to he's going to have so much experience under his belt that I think Bryce can be able to play early if they need him to, like as a slot corner right off the bat. So lots to like with those two kids. I'm very sure they're both going to be at Ohio State. And Reese is a D lineman. Bryce is a corner. And, the Glenville pipeline is probably alive and well, because they had some other young ones there, real young ones that look pretty good.
No, I love that. It's funny. I got hit up by Troy Smith today to work camp with him and Ted Ginn. It's going to be in 2 weeks. So I'll be plugging that because they're both. I said if I'm going to work your camp, you guys are both going on my podcast. So we're going to be watching some film together, and they're all excited. So God bless Ted Giddens Sr. He's a saint for all he's done for some of the kids in Cleveland, and he battled from a really nasty form of cancer, and he's doing great. And God bless that guy and his son and Troy and all the great Glenville kids I play with. So that's awesome news, Bank. So with that, in closing, you still got the bank chat. You still got a few more posts left to do tonight.
Oh yeah. We'll stay on it as long as they're talking. I'm talking.
Dude, I appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much, brother. So we're
Yeah,
we're gonna wrap this thing up. I appreciate you guys, Buckeye Scoop family. We are grinding. Camp is opening up in 2 weeks. We can't wait. It's gonna be a blast. Inside information on training camp is always huge. There's gonna be guys moving up and down the depth chart. There's gonna be injuries. There's gonna be guys that are standing out in scrimmages. We're gonna have all that on BuckeyeScoop.com. Thank you so much, Buckeye Scoop family. Thank you, Buckeye Nation. We appreciate you guys. You guys have a great Friday and a great weekend. Appreciate you guys. Go Bucks.